Oh, hi everybody. Happy Friday. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late. My kid's school just called me. My son is sick, so I'm trying to do this live broadcast and then let you guys get on your way on this sunny Friday. So good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in today to our live broadcast. I'm going to be talking about financial considerations when divorcing. I am live on Facebook and I should be live on Instagram. We're trying to get it set up in the office. So hopefully you Instagrammers can see me too. We're kind of doing it in a bootleg way, but hopefully you guys are going to be able to tune in. Like I said, today I'm going to be talking about the very serious discussion of money and money when you're going through a divorce. So I am Joy Farrell. I'm the managing attorney here at the Farrell firm. We're located right in Tucker, Georgia off of 285. And you can find more about us on farrellfirm.com. What we do is a lot of family law litigation that includes divorce, child support, custody, adoptions, the probate of wills and estates. And we also do some personal injury law. So if you've been in an accident and you were not at fault, you can also call us for that. If you want to head on over to our website, you can find out more about myself and our team here at the Farrell firm. And you can stay connected with us by following us on Facebook, Instagram, and you can follow our YouTube page, which is actually under my personal name. Hold on one second. Trying to go live on Instagram too. There you go. Okay.
The 6 numbers.
Oh, that's my, okay. There you go. Sorry about that. So yeah, you can follow us on our YouTube page, which is actually under Joy Farrell, my personal name. So let's go ahead and get started with our conversation today about money. By tuning into this broadcast, you understand that the information I'm giving today is for informational purposes only. And the information I'm giving is also according to the laws of the state of Georgia. By listening to this broadcast, we are not creating an attorney-client relationship. And if you need specific legal advice, you need to contact a lawyer and arrange a consultation to receive that advice. If you've tuned into my broadcast before, you know that I take questions at the end of the broadcast, and they can be related to the current topic or anything about family law. And I am more than happy to answer those questions for you. You can type them at any time, or you can wait until the end. It's up to you. Either way, I'll go through in the order that they were received and answer those questions. So financial considerations in divorce. Divorce is no doubt an emotionally draining process, but it is also a financially draining process if you are not properly prepared for the road ahead that comes with a divorce. Oftentimes in life, people tend to take the approach of what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. But in Georgia, and if you're married, that is not the case. What's yours is also your spouse's, and what's your spouse's is also yours. And that includes the good and the bad. So that means that also includes your assets as well as your debts. So assets your spouse has or you have, or debts. They're joint, they're marital property. In a divorce, as a lawyer, we must look at the entire marital balance sheet. That's everything you own, everything you owe. And based on that, we must make a determination on how to divide that balance sheet in a way that is beneficial to our client. What's important to note, and I'm going to be talking about this today, is that every dollar is not equal. And a good lawyer will understand that every dollar is not equal. In marriages, there are so many possibilities to the financial setup of the couple. In some relationships, one spouse works to support the marriage financially, while the other spouse may stay home and take care of the home. One spouse may work and contribute to their retirement account, while the other spouse does not contribute to their retirement account because the household can't afford for both parties to have the deductions coming out of their paycheck. Some spouses both have retirement accounts, but they agree that one person is going to drain their retirement account for the purposes of buying a new home, paying down debt, or if some type of financial emergency comes up, one spouse depletes their account. Whatever the scenario is, we have to look at the big picture of that marital balance sheet and strive for a level of fairness, especially for our client. So here are some things you need to be mindful of if you are headed for a divorce or thinking about getting a divorce in the future. The first thing you should do is be familiar with your money. And when I say your money, I mean you and your spouse's money. You need to know what expenses you have and what your future expenses will be when you live without your spouse, to ensure that you're going to not just be able to get by and survive after a divorce, but to ensure that you're actually able to thrive. Believe it or not, I meet a lot of clients who have no idea what their household bills are and what the expenses are. This is the case when one spouse may handle all the financials for the home. They may pay all the bills through the joint bank account, or whatever the case, the other party just has no idea what the expenses are. So you need to make yourself familiar. One way to do that is to go through your joint bank account. If you have a joint bank account, look at the transactions, write them down, and try to get familiar with what they are each month. For example, if your Georgia power bill is $250, $230, $270, you can just average it out at $250 and know, okay, the electric bill, the power bill is about $250. If you don't have a joint bank account, you can try to intercept the bills as they come in the mail. And you would just need to open those bills and look at the billing history, or if you get them frequently enough, you can develop your own billing history if the bill does not have the billing history, so that you can get an understanding of what the family finances are. However you go about doing it, it is very important that you have, sorry, my staff is going home because it's snowing like crazy outside. However you figure out what the finances are, is important, because we have to have the picture of your financial situation. The next thing we want to talk about is I recommend reducing your retirement contribution. Many financial advisors will probably disagree with me on this point, because investing is always a good thing. However, if you know you're about to get a divorce in the next few months, you have to keep this in mind. Every dollar you put away is subject to division with your spouse. And in a year, a person can put up to $18,500 in a 401k. So with the future pending divorce, that money may better suit you in your pocket as a liquid and usable asset. If you don't invest the assets, you can use the liquid money to prepare yourself for your future versus facing a tax penalty by pulling it from your account later on. You need to get copies of your documents. Make sure you gather the financial documents like your tax returns, bank statements, and statements from any investment accounts. We request these in litigation, but if you already have them handy, that can help speed along the process and make it more affordable for you in the long run. If you're pending a divorce or thinking about a divorce, do not make any big purchases. If you're headed for divorce, now is not the time to make a big purchase. Remember, whatever you purchase, if you go buy another house, if you go buy a motorcycle or that car or that boat, that could be rewarded to your spouse in the divorce, especially if it appears that you were trying to spend down the marital assets by buying things that were expensive. Whatever you purchase in a marriage is marital property, and your spouse could end up taking that item through the divorce. So spending money doesn't protect your money. Understanding your assets is very important, because every dollar is not equal in the long run. So for example, let's say I have a husband and wife with a 13-year marriage. They have $500,000 in assets. Of that $500,000 in assets, $250,000 of those assets come from the marital home, and the other $250,000 comes from the husband's retirement account. Wife is really attached to the home because it has sentimental value. That's where they had their children, have raised their children, and her ultimate goal is to be rewarded at home. It looks like an equal division to the untrained lawyer, but this is something I would absolutely advise against. The first problem in this scenario is that the wife's $250,000 is tied up in the home, and the only way to get that money is to take a mortgage out on that home to get the cash value, or to either sell the home. The husband's $250,000 is different than this money because it's an investment retirement account, and he can make more and more money on that money just by growth of the market. So we also have to point out in this scenario that the wife does not have any retirement of her own, and she will be starting from scratch, and she's already in her 40s. She needs to be able to plan for her retirement days as well. And so in this scenario, the wife taking a $250,000 house and the husband taking the $250,000 and all the retirement assets would not be an equal division, because the husband's $250,000 is going to turn into $500,000 or $600,000 in the long run. So let's look at another example so you guys can try to understand what I'm saying. So let's say we have a husband and a wife who've been married for 20 years, and the husband makes $300,000 a year. And I'm giving an example off of a recent appointment I had. Husband makes $300,000 a year, has $1 million in retirement, and wife works part-time earning $30,000 per year with no retirement. Husband has an IT degree and wife has a PhD, which stands for putting husband through. A lot of wives support their husbands and husbands support their wives. So you have a PhD when you do that. So let's say the husband files for divorce and he says, hey, she can have half of everything. Is having half of everything in this scenario fair? Well, on the face, it seems fair, but it's not really fair if we actually look closely. Husband is giving wife $500,000 in retirement, but she's already 50. And she will need her retirement money to last her 25 to 35 years. She will not be able to live on this or her $30,000 per year income with no retirement benefits. On the other hand, the husband will continue to earn $300,000 per year, and he will continue to rebuild his retirement assets right back to over $1 million in the blink of an eye. So in this scenario, it would be an error to assume that 50-50 is an equitable split here when we have a spouse who is unable to earn the kind of money that her husband is earning. So let's talk about Social Security, especially for our older clients. This is a big issue. Social Security is the topic that is typically overlooked in divorce litigation, but it is extremely important and you have to keep it in mind. I know the future of Social Security is questionable at this time, but it does still exist. So let's talk about it. Here's how it works. Social Security and spouse qualification. If you have, I'm going to give you another example because it's kind of easier to give examples when I talk about this. So let's assume in the scenario I'm going to talk about, the wife is the lower earning spouse. We know in real life the husband can actually be the lower wage earning spouse. So if a couple has been married for 10 years, 10 is the magic number. When we're talking about Social Security, you need to be married for 10 years in order to qualify to get your ex-spouse's Social Security. So that 10 years is measured from the date of marriage to the date of divorce. So if I have any attorneys out here watching, I need to make sure if that 10-year mark is close to that divorce decree deadline, that you push that case past that 10-year mark. I had a case like that about 2 years ago. I represented the husband, and I had that decree signed about 2 days before that 10-year mark. And if the other attorney on the other side was good, they would have known that they should have made sure they had that extra 2 days so that client could qualify for the 10 years. So anyway, if you've been married for 10 years, and in the scenario I'm giving, the wife will be entitled to half 50% of her ex-husband's Social Security benefit if she meets the following requirements. So if her husband, if he's eligible to receive Social Security benefits, she is not married. If she is married to someone else, she can get benefits based on her own earnings or her current husband's earnings. Wife has to be over the age of 62 or older. She is not eligible for Social Security retirement benefits based on her own earnings. And what you have to understand in this scenario, because some people say, well, this is not fair, I have to give half of my Social Security, but the actual spouse is not being affected by the reduction from the ex-spouse. So you're still going to get your full amount. Your ex-spouse just has a benefit. So if we have an ex-wife who is age 62 or over and has been divorced for at least 10 years, she will be able to, she was married for at least 10 years and divorced for at least 2 years. She'll be able to receive the benefits based on the earnings of her ex-husband, regardless of whether or not that ex-husband has applied for benefits or retired. So an example of a Social Security payout, we're going to assume that Ken will receive $750 per month in Social Security when he retires. He was married to his ex-wife Helen for 10 years. So Helen will also be entitled to his Social Security benefits of $375, which is half of Ken's benefit at the age of 65. Well, sometimes we go along and get remarried. So what if Ken gets remarried and his second wife, Marcy, and him are married for 10 years and they also divorce? Well, Marcy will get $375, Helen will get $375, and Ken will still get his full $750. There is no limit on the number of wives or husbands who can collect on a Social Security benefit as long as the spouse is married to each of them for a period of 10 years or longer. They will always have the benefit. So what happens if Ken dies? If Ken dies, each wife that qualifies will then get 100% of Ken's benefits. So Helen and Marcy in that scenario will both receive $750 each. Okay, and one of the last things I'm going to talk about today, and I'm moving fast because it's snowing outside and I got to go get my kids. So the last thing we're going to talk about today is transferring of retirement assets. So everyone knows that there's a tax penalty that comes with removing money from your retirement account. However, what most people don't know is that in a divorce, we can avoid those tax penalties by the use of what we call a QDRO, QDRO, and that stands for Qualified Domestic Relations Order, which is an order allowing one spouse to transfer their retirement assets to the other spouse into a qualified tax account without any tax consequences. And so there's no need to worry about penalties in dividing assets in a divorce when it comes to the retirement money, so long as you're putting it in a qualified retirement account. So a qualified retirement account would be another retirement account. So your husband couldn't take a 401k and then you roll it into your checking account, because if you put in your checking account, you're going to get the penalty. But if you roll it into another actual retirement account, you wouldn't get the penalty. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the questions. Attorney Kelly is in the office. She's monitoring the Instagram, and I saw a question come up from Instagram. So I'm going to put that one on the screen. If you guys have questions, go ahead and type them. Do I have to submit a paternity test if I'm not chasing the father for child support? If the father requested a paternity test, and if he has a court order for the paternity test, then yes, you do. But if you guys are doing something unofficial and informally, then no, you would not have to do a paternity test. But, you know, it won't hurt you to do it because you may want to get child support later. So go ahead and get it done, and you can decide if you want to use that to your benefit now or later. Clarence says, I'm about to buy a home. I'm doing it all, the down payment, and buy all the bills. If something happens between us, does she have any rights to the house? Well, Clarence, the question to that is, are you married? And if you are married, the fact that you're doing it all doesn't matter because y'all are married. So, you know, you putting the down payment, that's her putting the down payment too. And you paying all the bills, that's her paying all the bills too, because your money is her money in this scenario. So if something were to happen to you, happen to the marriage, then yes, absolutely, she does have rights to the house. In the usual way, we split houses. So if you purchase the home and then later get divorced, we're looking at what the equity is in the home. So let's say you buy the house this year, and then 10 years from now, the house has $100,000 in equity in it. She will be entitled to a portion of that equity, roughly around 50%, depending on what the facts are, maybe even more. If she's a non-working spouse and you have retirement, her lawyer may request that she gets more of the equity to offset the fact that she doesn't have the ability to earn retirement at the same rate that you do. Okay. Hey, Ernest, glad you could tune in today. And I don't see any more questions, so type them fast if you have them. But otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up and get out of here on this snowy day. So we do offer consultations here at the Farrell Firm. You can call us at 678-973-2803 to book an appointment, and those appointments are $150 currently. Or you can go to our website at farrellfirm.com and book through there, as well as find out some more information about what we do. We are open most of this month. We're just closed Christmas Day and the day after Christmas. So we'll be available taking new appointments. And so hopefully you guys are going to be making some changes going into 2018, and we'll love to speak with you. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you guys are safe driving home today, and I hope you guys don't have to sit in too much traffic with this weather. I'll see you guys next week. Actually, Attorney Roy will see you next week. I'm going to be out of town, but tune in next week. See you then.